Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. Right, let's see if we can get a few shares going. I'm just trying to see if there we go. Scaling Trade is live, so it says we're live.
It's always a good start to be live.
Always a good start. So I'm going to hop into the comments. Afternoon all. Right. So I guess your video is paused, by the way.
I can't see you, by the way.
Can you not?
Not anymore.
On the live, I can see me. You look like you're filming on a potato, though. It's your turn. It's your turn to have bad bandwidth when you're on live.
Yeah. It was your turn last time. My turn this time. What about taking it in turns and sharing, eh?
Yeah, exactly. So I am just going to flip over because I discovered something cool, right? Well, I'm going to say it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that, look. Oh. So
look at you. That's why you're my techie. That's why you're the technical genius out of the two of us.
Well, I wouldn't say a genius, but we'll soon find out.
Yeah. Okay.
So, well, look. Welcome to everyone that is joining or has joined, or if you are just joining. My name is Stephen Howe. I'm one of the co-founders of Scaling Trade, and I'm on live today with my business partner, Michael Forbesy.
Hi, fellow co-founder Michael Forbes. We've come today to give you a live session around mindset and the differences of mindset. So it's going to be a really good session because it's something that affects everyone, no matter whether you're really successful or at the top of the tree. Mindset is something that affects every single one of us human beings. So I'm really excited about this session today. First off, just want to know if everyone can hear us okay. Say yes. I hate the term, but give us a 1 if you can. And the other thing is, it's your session, so please use the comments, put your pages in there, share it to your pages, let people know what you're doing, let people know that you're advancing and learning about things. And let's make it a really good Friday session. Steve, over to you.
Thank you. The algorithm probably hasn't picked up that we've gone live. So like last time, we'll probably get about 10 minutes in and then people will start flooding in. But so a bit of a controversial title I picked for today's, which,
yes.
So I'm going to give some.
Yeah. I mean, I did flag it and I said, Steve, is that a bit too close to the border? Is it over the line? Are you going to upset and offend people possibly? So come on, give us a rundown as to how you came up with the title, why, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah. So I'm going to give some credit to someone actually. So there's a chap called Jason. If you're not in his group, I'd highly encourage it. He runs a much larger Facebook group than us for local trades. It's more of a tradie to tradie group. But I was talking to him this week about one of our podcasts and getting him on, and we were just sending voice notes backwards and forwards about the current economy, the climate, and what we were typically seeing in in the marketplace and the industry. And I was telling him, I said, look, one of the things we always come up against, the biggest hurdle for us is getting prospective customers or people that want to work with us to overcome their mindset. So when I spoke to Michael, I was like, well, we should probably do something on mindset. But I think there's a self-employed mindset. So this isn't a criticism if you are self-employed. I'm gonna sort of preface that right now. So if you're self-employed, this is not a criticism of you in any way, shape, or form. And we are not saying that being self-employed is a crap idea. What we're saying is the mindset, the limiting belief. And we'll talk through today the difference between business owner mindset and actually being a business owner, and the self-employed mindset. And actually, what I think we've all been there. It's not something you consciously pick. It's just, I think, when you see it, you'll have an aha moment and realize that you might be in that camp, and it might be the thing that's holding you back.
Just to add,
yeah,
it's something that you don't, if you're not thinking about it, you don't actually know about it. So you end up just falling into that trap of having this self-employed mindset. You know, just like Steve said, it's not a bad thing being self-employed, but for some reason, there's all of this stuff that comes with it. Once you become self-employed, all of a sudden you bring a certain thing about you and a certain mindset, and there's a certain way that you end up going about things just because of the nature of what self-employed or being self-employed means. So I said I'm really excited about this because I suffered from negative type mindset back in the days when I was a teenager and in education and stuff, and I ended up studying psychology, and that massively changed my fortunes, my outlook on life, and everything that comes with it. So look, it's the one thing I want to say is it's definitely possible to change, and all you've got to do is be aware of what needs to change, how to change it, and then act upon that. Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 3 buckets, I think is probably fair to say, that we're going to talk through today. So we're going to talk through a little bit of actually the mindset, the limiting beliefs, and how that affects you as a business, and it affects different things, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And actually, it's probably a good point just to sort of to start off, really. So mindset differences, that's the first topic. What's the actual difference between that self-employed mindset and business owner mindset? And I'll come off this slide in a minute because I'm conscious there's a lot on there. But to explain this slide in a bit of more detail, when we look at people's businesses, or when you look at any business that grows, you've got all of the functions of a business. So that's sales, that's marketing, that's service delivery. It's all the things that you do in a business. But actually, when you're a business owner and you're growing a business, typically you have problems across 3 areas. You have problems around people. Either you don't have people, you've got the wrong people, you've got the right people, but they're in the wrong place. And it depends where you are on your business journey. Processes. So as you grow, processes will hold you back. And then the last bit, as someone that is in technology myself, there is a technology play of, are you actually using technology? And if you are you using the right technology? And then we strapline all of that together with vision, because as a business owner, you need to have vision and you need to have an end game, because without any of that, it all falls apart. So I think let's just cover people, right? So if you're self-employed, it's me, myself, and I, or me, myself, and my subbies. And I think there's a mindset issue around not realizing that you're not building a business that way. And that's not to say that subcontracting isn't the right way to go, but all the time you don't have employees or people on your books. As you grow as a business, you'll have a combination of subcontractors and employees, but you're not having stability and you're not necessarily creating loyalty. And I'm not saying subcontractors are not loyal, but they are, and I've been a contractor, they are only focused on where their next job is, where their next project is, and what they're getting involved in. As employees can do all of the different things that you need them to when they're on a project or not.
Yeah, I would.
My view.
Yeah, I would echo that. And look, I just going back to the point I made at the start, which was you become the people, plural, when you become self-employed. You're literally doing everything, especially when it's just one of you in the business, when you're just starting out. And that in itself is a challenge. So you end up getting weighed down, doing every role, wearing so many different hats. And this is something that has to change. And that's why you'll see that the biggest, most successful and most profitable companies in the world, they have tons of employees, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think these all kind of go hand in hand, right? But processes. So if I've got a self-employed mindset, when we say there's no process, no automation, lack of systems equals no time. The big problem with a self-employed mindset is lack of time to think outside of the box and lack of time to grow the business. So, you can automate certain processes and you can put processes and procedures in place that people can follow. Like I hear this all the time, like, so-and-so doesn't know how to place orders with a supplier and get it into the system correctly. And I'm like, yeah, probably because you just don't have a process for it. Like literally, Bob and Sally are subcontractors. They're going down to Wix, or, you might be a local hair salon and someone's going up to the supply. There's no process to say, this is how you're going to get orders into the system so that the money in the bank and the accounting's all done correctly. But likewise, there's a whole load of things you probably do, like quoting's the big thing we hear, where, Christ, I think every person I've spoken to just this week alone has told me that they're doing quotes and they're doing admin work when they've shut the shop or they've got off the tools, until 8 o'clock in the evening. And actually, there's a business near me where the centre, it's a small centre, it shuts at 6 o'clock, but there's a bar open until midnight. If you sit in that bar at 8 o'clock in the evening, you can see the business owner still slumped over the laptop, clearly doing all the work, invoices, quotes, tallying up. That's like 2 hours. I bet she doesn't have processes and she's not automating things.
100%. And that's another thing. And you'll see this a lot on social media, that once you become an entrepreneur, once you become self-employed or you're running your own business, there's negative connotations like sleeps for losers and, it's a 24/7 job and everything like that. It doesn't actually have to be. If you put the right systems and processes in place, you can get that time back. And that's one of the key things that we see a lot of people struggling with. And again, like I said, you become every single person. So without teaching people and training people how to do critical elements of your business, you end up doing them yourself, which gives you less and less time. The one thing that is limited for every single one of us is the amount of hours in a day. And that's something you have to realize, where you can free up time by automating, where you can put systems and processes in place, which will then give you that freedom that you need so that you can look at the bigger picture of the business and start doing things that are going to contribute to your revenue and contribute to your profit, rather than doing those boring, laborious tasks that absolutely need to be done. But should they be done by you, or can you automate and get a system in place to make it more efficient?
Yeah. And then, sorry, go on, Michael.
I was saying, moves us on to the next section quite nicely.
Yeah, and then technology, I think it's quite simple. Like, so many people, like, there's a geezer I was on the phone with last week, still doing bookings out of a WH Smith's diary, right? Literally, he's got this black diary that he buys. He openly admitted to me in the call, it's like, yeah, I buy this diary every year for Christmas. It's a running joke in the family. And he has got so much paperwork shoved in this, and it's not even an A4 one. It's like one of those big, like, desk type ones. Carries it around with him. He's got notes, quotes, and I was actually sat with him, and I was like, just walk me through what a day looks like. And he's backwards and forwards, and I'm like, how long do you spend in that book? And he's like, oh yeah, I'll probably spend about an hour a day. So 5 hours a week, this guy is spent moving appointments, booking appointments, and using it as his task list. And I asked him, I mean, so who else has access to this? And what happens if you lose it? Oh, actually, I did. I left it on the top of my van the other week. And luckily, I managed to go and get it before it was raining. And I was like I want to swear, but I did on the call.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus. And I was like, so, but but the tasks and stuff, like your son and stepson works for him. So he's no, it's not stepson,
with him. Yeah.
Son-in-law works for him. And I was like, so how do you give him tasks and stuff? And he was like, oh, he just he'll come and get my book. It's always in the front of the van on the dash, or it's when we're on site. And I was like, okay, I can only dread to imagine how much time and toing and throwing there is. And when I walked him through just automating his client bookings alone, just that, he was like, oh, well, yeah, that takes me ages to work out. He said a Sunday evening, so I didn't realise it. 5 o'clock Sunday evening, he puts 2 hours aside every week just to sort out his diary and his jobs for the week ahead. So now, when I think about it, I didn't call this out to him. That's 7 hours. That's a day. That's a day a week he spends on organising his diary.
Yeah, I was going to say what I loved was the fact that when he's speaking to some of his prospects, he can't even give them a date in the diary because sometimes he hasn't got the diary with him. And it's like, oh, that's in the van, so I'd have to go back and go and get that. And then he has to get back to them. And look, in that time, a prospect can go cold. You could lose that opportunity. If you got the opportunity of technology there to book them in there and then, absolutely do it. And then there was a story when, I love it how you said he left it on the van. I'm sure it's happened more than once. I have no doubt about it. Or he's left it in the pub or whatever. But yeah, that's his whole business, literally on that, WH Smith, other retailers are available. But yeah, in that folder, it's crazy that he still works like that in this day and age.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, he's not alone. That's the thing. And it's no bad thing. If you don't know, you don't know. And quite often, just on the technology bit, I mean, I've got a technology background, and as a kid, I loved tech and computer games and all that sort of stuff when I, years ago before they were popular. So I'm a fan with it, love it, always adopts the latest and greatest. But a lot of people are fearful of technology. They're like, I don't know how it works, I can't do it. So they kind of just give up and carry on doing what they do and what they know. And I think we need to make it, more accessible and show them that tech can be friendly. It's almost like your best friend, if you've got the right technology to help your business, it's amazing how much difference that will make.
Yeah, and the last bit on that, which the irony wasn't lost on me. He was the second person that week that had told me he turns up to sites and people aren't in. And actually, my son had this when because he does car washing, and we fixed that problem because now, like, his customers get a text message the day before, an hour before, and 10 minutes before. But what I found hilarious, not hilarious because that sounds condescending because I've done it, but worrying, I think, is the word.
So she definitely found it hilarious then, if you've done it.
Yeah, I did. No thought around, like, because you're not using technology of, like, you're going to have to pick up, like, if the only way you can make sure that people are going to be in is go through your diary each evening and actually physically phone and text the people to say, I'm going to be there. We all know what it's like the amount of times I've tried to get a builder around or a gardener, and it's like, oh, I'll come around at some point this week. And I'm just completely turned off to that idea, right? As if I get someone that goes, yeah, I'll be around on Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Or actually, if I can do between 4 and 5, because that's when I'll be travelling back your way, more precise and setting expectation. And then actually, I was quite impressed. I had a roofer. I got an automated text message off of him, and I was like, you don't use our service, but I really like the fact that you reminded me that I had to be in because you were coming to look at my roof. But then this comes down to, like, I think that mindset of, again, vision. When we think about vision, so when you're self-employed mindset is short term, that where am I going to be tomorrow? How am I getting money in the bank this week? And, just making it through the financial year as a business and a business owner, and that real mindset will take a step back. Everybody's got this in them. So if you're watching this and you think, oh, this isn't a bit of me, it is. It absolutely is. If you spend some time away from everything, you can actually think about where you want to be in a year, 2 years, 3 years. And there's an exercise we take people through, right? A bit of a goal setting and a vision exercise. And the vision exercise at the end of it, they'll have absolute clarity on where they want to be. And that could be, I want employees, or I want a particular life goal, which means I now know where I need to take my business. And that leads into having goals and targets that have a time frame to them and are achievable.
Yeah, I love that. Just going back a little bit on that short-term, long-term thing, and again, it kind of plays into our strengths, and what we do is this, where you don't have processes in place, where you don't have the right technology in place, that is quite a short-term vision, because quite often, if you get the right process and the right technology in place today, that is going to save you so much time just in the rest of this year, let alone if you're going to run the business for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and then try and pass it on. So you have to start thinking long term, and just think about, small changes today, adapt slowly, and they will make a huge difference to your outcomes in the future. So that goes back into that vision thing. What is your vision for the next 3, 5, and 10 years? How do you want your business to look? How efficient do you want it to be running? How profitable do you want it to be? Which moves us on to goals and targets. Do you want to touch on that as well, Steve?
Yeah, exactly. I think what you just said there, profit and cost, like massively, like as a business owner, and we're like this in our business, like with the tools and the AI and other bits and pieces we use with various customers. First thing we think about is, how do I reduce the cost and become more profitable? So there is growing business. So a self-employed mindset, I need more leads. We spoke about this on the last live. I need more leads. I need more leads. Yeah, you actually, no, you don't. You need more customers. But before you need more customers, are you efficient and going to be most profitable with those new customers? Because I'd rather bring in a couple of customers with higher profitability and lower cost than a ton of customers with really high cost and low profitability. And a business owner wants to get off the tools. Like, this is the one thing. Like, if you're sitting there thinking, I am working my guts out all day, and what the am I working those guts out for? You are a business owner mindset, because all you need to do is switch the question around in your head. Is not why am I, how do I get off the tools, right? How do I get somebody else on the tools? That simple shift in questioning puts you from that depressive, 14-hour days, pulling 6 days, 7-day shifts, into then thinking about, well, how do I stop that? Rather than thinking, why am I doing it?
Yeah, the shift to how can I, how do I, is really important. I mean, it's something that, when we started this business, I was saying it on day one when we came up with the idea that, it comes across as a problem, and you start internalizing it as a problem to yourself, that, oh, I'm working every hour that's been sent to me, 24 hours, 7 days a week. I'm flat out and not making progress. But when you turn to the how do I, it comes back to, I always say, look at problems as opportunities. There's an opportunity to solve them. I think pretty much every invention, everything you look at around your house or in front of you on your laptop or whatever, came about because someone spotted a problem, but they didn't see it as a problem. They saw it as an opportunity to solve it, and make things better and make things easier. And that's something that I wanted to bring as part of the ethos of the company, is that, and we do this for our clients as well. We look at these things, they say, oh, this is a problem, that's a problem, that's a problem. We look at it as a challenge, and we're like, brilliant, bring it on. We'll help you solve that. We see it as an opportunity to improve your business.
Yeah. I snuck a cheeky one in there, which is, how do I hire and manage? And I did that last minute because I had a conversation. Yeah. So this was an interesting one. I've had this conversation a couple of times now, not together, but I've had them a couple of times, in that they've been more of a debatable conversation with a tradie, in that I had a carpenter that was like, he said to me, Steve, I don't want to hire people, right? Because then that's a risk to me. I don't want to be responsible for, other people's livelihood and income and all that other stuff. I'd rather just have subcontractors. And I was like, and I kind of questioned and got into a bit of a heated debate because I see both sides of the coin. But then I had this conversation with another geezer, and he's like, mate, I don't know how to hire people. I'm hiring them, I'm firing them. Is it them or is it me? Right. And I'm like, no, it's probably you, to be honest, like, because, a bad hire is on you. But the mindset, which what I found utterly fascinating, was he was so desperate. He was like, I just want to hire good people because then I don't have to do all the work. He said, because I've got subbies that can go and put a wall up, or I've got people that can come and work for me, and he's like, but I just want them to be working for me, and it's going to help me grow my business. I'm then going to have people that I can reward as well. So like, he's flipped that. I don't want to be responsible for someone's livelihood to actually, I can increase their livelihood, because if I grow the business and become more profitable, I can pay them what they're worth, and more than what they're worth, more than what the market rate dictates between job to job. Just an interesting one, I think.
Yeah,
on vision. But
that's a really interesting point. Yeah, you definitely did sneak that one in, because that wasn't something we discussed, but really, really important as well. I think, again, it's a mindset thing. I hear so often that people are like, their business is just them, just me, just you. There's a fear of hiring people, or you think that the people you hire aren't going to do as good a job as you. But if you've got the right systems and processes in place, you can train them up. You can train them to do things exactly the way that you do them, or they can look at the process, follow that process. And as long as that process is done correctly, then there shouldn't be any issues. We're all human. We can all learn. I mean, there was a time where none of us on this call could read or write. We couldn't even walk. We couldn't talk. So, it proves that, anything's possible as long as the right processes are in place to be able to follow. So, topic 2, understand your why.
Yeah. I nearly stole. There's a guy that I know, Simon Sinek, which is start with why.
Yeah.
But so I twisted it on his head. I think there's a mindset shift as well around money doesn't motivate everybody, right? I've got friends that will quite happily tell me that money isn't the be all and end all, and doesn't necessarily motivate them. And different people, a bit like when you get employees, right? When you start to hire people, you will realize that not every one of your employees thinks that having a slap up meal and 6 pints down the pub on the company on a Friday night is a good benefit. In fact, you'd be surprised how many people think that's a really shit benefit. But so there are different motivators for different people. But for you, as someone that wants to be a business owner, there is understanding your why and your purpose. So I just put some bullet points for talking points here. Like, why do you do it? You must have started you went self-employed, or you became a business owner for a reason. And we talk about a term that's normally reserved to big businesses, which is that exit plan, right? What do you want, right? Is it because you want to pay your bills? Is it because you want to create a legacy? In fact, a family member of mine is in the same situation that I'm working with to help him. His son wants to take over the business, wants to grow, is 10 times more ambitious than his dad is. Like, literally wants to be the next biggest home service company through the southeast of the UK. Like, the tenacity and the fierceness of it is quite inspiring. So the legacy is, you need to, are you building something that's going to pay for your kids' tuition, put them through university if that's what they want to do? Is it your retirement? Is it you're going to build a business that you can sell? And you need to understand that people don't just buy a business because it's making money. Like, what contracts have you got? What customer base? What's your brand look like? Or is it an investment? Is it so that it can pay you to become a property investor, or to do other investments, or to go and do something else? But if you don't know your why, you're not going to feel motivated. When shit's down, you're not going to get out of bed.
I've not heard that one before.
Yeah, just hide under the covers. It's all right. Why did I do
Friday lunchtime, right? Yeah. Look, I'm going to challenge you all, whoever's listening and watching, to write down your whys, because they may have changed. You'll be surprised. The why that I had on day one changes from the why 6 months later, and then the why 3 years later. So, you know, why do you do it? Write that down. Have a look, have a think, and then you can plan better, because then you can plan in accordance with your why, and that's what gives you that driving force and that motivation to carry on, to look at growing the business, to make sure you've got the right things in place if it is an exit that you're working towards, or even if it's a lifestyle business, put that down as your why. So if it's a lifestyle business, you don't want it taking too much of your time. You want to do it as part of a lifestyle. So, you know, do that as do it now, but make sure you don't, you know, switch off and stop listening to the rest of our content, because it's awesome.
I think the other thing is, once you understand why, you need to ask yourself some hard questions, right? And one of them is, how on earth are you going to get there? Like, you might know why you're doing it, but what is it that you're striving for, and how are you actually going to get there? You don't need you don't need the business plan level details. You just need to know, what am I going to do for the next 12 months? Am I going to stay on the same shitty hamster wheel, spinning around and around on a merry-go-round and do nothing? Or am I actually going to get off and do something and actually set some goals, so that maybe it's like, maybe your goal is, I'm going to get half a day back a week so I can start focusing on, you know, getting bigger clients or building out a better business proposition. And then the last bit is, are you prepared? Because a lot of people that we've come across have said they've tried it. Like, they've tried somebody else. They've tried working with somebody else. It didn't work. And it's like, it's not a set of stairs, right? It's not an escalator, right? Growing your business doesn't suddenly, there are unicorns, right, in the world that just manage to hit the timing right. But it is a mountain, and you will slide down that mountain, and there will be days, weeks, like I say, your head's in the pillow, you know, and life feels a bit shit and you don't want to wake up. But have you got your eyes open, and are you prepared for all of that? Because if you are, it's actually easier and it's more exciting, but you won't give up. Because a lot of people, we see this a lot, don't we? Like, people go, oh, I've tried, how long did you try? I tried it for a month. I tried it for a month, and then I
didn't work.
I didn't get anywhere. It didn't work.
Yeah.
It's like, well, of course it didn't work. You probably had to spend a month learning how to do the thing that you'd never done before. So why do you think it would work?
Yeah, exactly. And it goes back to the goals and targets. So, I mean, if you've got clear goals and targets in mind, you know that even if that thing didn't work, you've still got that same goal or target. So you need to get there somehow. So you need to be prepared to get there and put in the work to do that. But we could do a whole section on goals and targets. I'm all over them with a 20-year sales career and things like that. You know, we live and die by hitting goals and targets that were set, certainly when I was an employee. But even as a business owner, I set regular targets. I have targets for the week, targets for the month, even targets for the day. And what those things, you know, it's almost a bit like a funnel. Those targets and me hitting those targets lead me to the bigger goals that I have and bigger aspirations. And that's the way I work, and that's what keeps me motivated. And then it all ties back into everything else. So this is a shift in mindset in terms of being a business owner versus self-employed. As Steve said, self-employed, you're kind of day to day. As a business owner, there's big plans, forecasts, they've got aspirations as to where they get to. And when you look at the biggest businesses, they were all small businesses at some point, but they all, you know, the share price is related to how well they've done and what their outlook is for the future. You know, I won't go too technical, but there's a massive CRM company called Salesforce, and they had quite a negative outlook for the next quarter. And as a result of that, they wiped billions off the value of their company. So they're going to have to look to address that. And yeah, it's one of those things that look at the bigger picture, set yourself goals, targets, keep those in mind, keep striving towards them.
So the last topic I guess once you've got over all of that, which probably feels like a fucking mountain, right, and it really isn't, it's just opening your eyes and kind of pulling the curtains back and going, yeah, actually, do you know what? I can do this. I can get over that hurdle. The next bit, and I think the clue was in that I tried it and I gave up. You have absolutely got to turn up, and you have got to be accountable to yourself, right? And turning up for me is turning up in the new way that you want to be. It isn't turning up on a Monday morning saying, well, over the weekend, I made a promise to myself I'm going to grow my business. Monday morning, turning up with the tools in the van and carrying on the way it is. I get that you're going to have jobs, but you need to turn up and do things differently. You have got to start making fundamental changes today and turn up every fucking day and make those changes and do those new things. As much as it puts you out your comfort zone, the day you don't turn up as your new self, you're not gonna grow. You're just gonna go back. It will slip away. Like, it'll be one day. It's a bit like going to the gym. I'm terrible at going to the gym, so I shouldn't use it as an excuse. But Michael does. He goes to the gym. He tells me it's like twice a week, but every time I phone him, he's in the gym because he turns up every day and knows. And how are you going to turn up? Because there's two things to turning up. There is consistency and there is persistence. And the two are very different. Consistency is putting a mental note in your diary, like paper or otherwise, right, that every day at 9 o'clock you're going to do something, isn't consistent. That's just consistent diary entry. Persistence is actually at 9 o'clock doing the thing you've said you're going to do, and carrying on even when it feels like it's not working, or it's really hard, or it's painful.
Yeah, and this comes back into the mindset. I have that mindset about my small habits. If I do them consistently and persistently, then it will help me achieve my greater and bigger goals. That's why I'm there all the time, Steve. And you need to, take note. Even if you go once this year, that's at least something. So Come on, you can do it.
And then I think, what is your network, right? This is very much, I think, underappreciated and undervalued. If you, as a man or a woman, but I can relate to this as a man because the algorithm picks up on it. If you go on TikTok or YouTube, right, for any length of time, you will start to stumble across millionaire mindset and alpha male like mindset videos. Just they're faceless videos with like quotes in them. And quite often you will hear and see a video that will tell you about ignoring haters, trolls, but also ignoring people around you that try to bring you down and don't want to see you successful. And there's two parts to this that I want to get to. One is people will tell you they want you to be successful until you don't have time for them and you're successful, and then they don't like it. And I've had that with mates in my life. I don't profess to being highly successful, but when I've achieved the thing or the career aspiration that I wanted, it kind of puts their nose out of joint. But more importantly to that, and I'm just saying it to be mindful of who you surround yourself with, your network. If your network is 12 lads that like to do 6 pints on a Sunday afternoon and play golf, and then Friday go down the pub and do 6 pints and watch football, they're probably not the people you should be surrounding yourself with to better your business. If you're going down and playing golf with high net worth individuals that own 4 or 5 plumbing companies or a national, hair salon chain or whatever it is, then they're a different set of breed of people that you're going to learn from. I always was told, put yourself into a circle of people that are above you, because the only way is up. Like, you can't, if you're the best, most successful person of the people around you, you're not going to learn anything. And in fact, they're just going to sponge all the information off of you.
That's a very good point. I'm a big believer in who you surround yourself with. Me personally, I had to take myself away from certain people years ago when I had bigger aspirations than them. And the reason was that they you know, and looking back, I can see this like clear like day, but they were the ones holding me back. They're like, oh, that will never work. It's not possible. You can't do this. You can't do that. And if you start hearing that repeatedly, then you start believing it. And they kind of crush your dreams. And you know, your network is actually your net worth. Just on that social media thing, it's interesting what you mentioned, Steve, because I think if you start, again, it's who you're attracting. That's how social media algorithms work. I had trouble with that word last time, didn't I? Yeah, that's how the algorithm works. So, you know, for TikTok, if you're looking at aspirational entrepreneurial stuff, you're going to see more and more of that, which is going to help. If you're doing the opposite, you'll see more of the opposite. And it's the same in real life. You know, if you surround yourself with people who are like really down and out and have no aspirations and negative about everything, you end up becoming that. And then that circle gets larger, full of those kind of people. So it makes massive difference to you, your outcomes in terms of your business, about who you surround yourself with. And you also find out that, you know, the better those people are in your network, the more opportunities that there are, because you'll find that the most aspirational people see things as opportunities rather than problems. So that's something really, really worth considering. And now we'll talk about accountability. Yeah, this is a big one too, really big, especially from self-employed mindset to a business owner mindset. Because Steve, you mentioned it, when you're feeling like toast and you don't want to do it. If you're self-employed, you're just not going to do it. You don't have to answer to anyone. You think no one cares. It's only yourself, but you're just lying to yourself, basically. And that's the difference. When you're a business owner, you know that there's a whole team of people who rely on you. Or if you've got a business owner mindset, you know that there's a bigger thing at play. So accountability is really important. And I know, Steve, that we were speaking before the call, that you want to give an example about this. But I try and keep Steve accountable. He keeps me accountable. But we also have people in our network who are been running businesses longer than us, are running much bigger businesses than us, because we're able to learn from them. And those people also keep us accountable, because if we say we're going to do something, they ask, how did it go? And the worst thing, I would hate it if I had to turn around and say, oh, I didn't do it, and then started making excuses. So, yeah, I try not to make excuses. If I say I'm going to do something, I make sure I do it, because I know that there's people, and they're my accountability partners and buddies, who will ask me about it. And that's why I put stuff out there. So, Steve, that thing we were talking about before the call, go on.
Well,
really
I've said, like, not your friends, and I've spelled friends wrong. I put fire ends. That's
fire those friends. Fire those friends.
that was not a Freudian slip. So friends or family. Friends or family are okay, right? And in fact, I'm very fortunate that actually my wife is furiously accountable, holds me accountable. And actually, I'm very fortunate for that, right? And I think that's quite rare, because I've got friends that will hold me accountable, but they will tell me it's okay. Don't worry. You've had a bad day. You've always got tomorrow. As actually, like, Michael holds me accountable. My wife actually doesn't do all of that. And she will say, well, no, hang on, that's not acceptable. She's almost been like my life coach. But actually, I think you do need someone, and the best people in the world. Like, I was watching reading an article of Stephen Bartlett, and he has a business coach. So he's like a highly successful young entrepreneur. You know, if you don't know who he is, go and look him up. You've been living under a rock. But he has a coach, and the most successful people in the world, and people will either have coaches or a group of accountability. Like Michael said, we're in a few groups that hold us accountable for what we do within our agency and our business, and you need to do the same. And that's part of like what we do with our client base. Like, there is a group program that holds people accountable, because you need accountability, so that when you turn up, right? So you've turned up, but you haven't delivered. That's okay, but you're accountable for why haven't you delivered? Is it because you just made a mistake? What did you learn? Or is it because you turned up and you did the grand sum of nothing? In which case, you need to be held accountable for that, because otherwise it will carry on. Like the next time it will be okay, because you're then setting an expectation that it's okay to do that.
Yeah, and when I was running my page before, a mindset related page, I actually wrote something about coaches and saying that, the most successful entrepreneurs, the most successful sports people, the best singers in the world, they all have coaches. You're not going to find a tennis player without a coach who's still got a coach, even if they're the world number one. You won't find a singer or vocalist who hasn't got a coach. Again, and same with the entrepreneurs. They surround themselves with different coaches for different areas of their life, because they know that life is something that you can constantly improve, and those people will keep them accountable. They'll set them tasks on a weekly or monthly, or however regular the cadence is that they meet up, and it's like, okay, go away and think about this, or go away and do this. And then when they reconvene in a month's time, it's like, how did you go? How did you get on? How much progress have you made? Did you practice that serve? Did you practice the vocal exercise that I told you to do? So these things are really crucial in terms of your accountability and your mindset, because don't be afraid to ask for help. If someone's already been there and they've done it before, take their advice, get them on board. They're the ones who are they'll happily give you a leg up, rather than surround yourself with someone who hasn't done it before. They'll try and pull you down and be like, oh no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be that good. You'll never make it. So yeah, surround yourself with the right people who are going to keep you accountable. I have some friends who are pretty brutal. I have other friends who are like, oh yeah, but you've done so well in life, you're fine, don't worry about it. And those ones are the ones who, yes, I love them, and they're still going to be my friends, but I know that they're not the ones for me to turn to if I need that extra kick up the arse and some motivation and determination. I'll go to the other friends who are like, okay, well, have you tried doing it like this? Or why don't you try that? And you can do it. I love your passion and energy. So it makes a massive difference, getting the right people around you who are going to keep you accountable. And we do it for some of our clients. I actually, Steve, you don't know this, but I had a WhatsApp conversation with someone, and if you're listening, sorry to out you, but she still hasn't done the posting exercise that we told her to do on social media. So I've nailed her down to commit to doing it on Monday, 3rd of June. And I said, I'm going to be checking on all the social media channels to make sure she's doing what she said. But this is an example of me keeping, being accountable, keeping her accountable to make sure that she does it, because it's every day is a day wasted. It's a day you'll never get back, and it's holding you back. It takes you longer to climb that summit of success. So I noticed this, we had a Q&A, next steps slide up.
We had one question come in, but not off of Facebook. So we had a question come in, and actually it just says viewer. So I don't know. I apologise. I don't know who viewer is. Unless that's your name. Welcome viewer, but I highly doubt it is. It's probably you might be on Instagram or somewhere watching us live. Basically says, how do I find a circle of influencers or people I should surround myself with and make that shift? That's a really good question. I think probably we can both cover that. Networking groups and local groups of interest. So there's like, I don't play golf actually, but there's a local, there's a lot of BNI groups and things, or small business groups that happen around golf courses. Local, so like I'm in Sussex, there's loads of Eastbourne local business groups. They're quite cheap to join. You'll end up finding and gravitating towards people that you find interesting and successful. Set up an accountability group. So if you know other business owners, maybe do it yourself. But I would encourage you to look at what networking groups are out there, and also look at the type of people that will attend. So we're in a few groups where it's a load of, I'd say, pseudo entrepreneurs. But I'm in one group specifically where there's about 30 people, and I'm probably the lowest, probably in the bottom 3-4 people in that group. But I learned so much from it, because the top sort of like 20% are where I aspire to be as a person and as a business. So there is a lot out there. There are WhatsApp groups. Meetup is quite a good place to find networking groups. Eventbrite, and just check your local business places. But Michael, you might have a different answer.
Yeah, it's not the greatest because it won't appeal to everyone. But Steve mentioned that I go to the gym a lot, and it's probably not the best because it costs quite a lot of money to go to this gym. But there's a lot of people who work from that gym, and there's a lot of networking that's done at the gym. You start seeing people. There's a couple of famous people who go there, and walk past each other, and it's just a little smile at first, and then it becomes a hello, and before you know it, you're in a conversation. And naturally, they ask what I do. I find out more about them and what they do, and you find synergies. And then these people then tend to start inviting you along to their events, whether it's a barbecue that they're holding or hosting, and or they're even point you and say, "Oh, you should try this networking group over in," and I won't mention the town, but over there, and it's every Tuesday at 10:30. Get yourself along. And that's because they're moving in a different circle, but then you can get in on the edge of the circle and then become part of that circle. The other thing I was going to say is, I might be quite fortunate, but I had some friends when I was younger, and some were way wealthier than certainly where I'd come from, and they just showed me a different way of life. Everything was very different in the way that they approach things and the way they looked at opportunities. They're more, I guess, risk takers, more risk averse. And I don't know if it's because they could fall back on the money, but it was very much like, well, if you don't, you got to speculate to accumulate. You've got to take a risk, otherwise you won't achieve. And the biggest risk takers are the ones who become the most successful. And just going back to the mindset thing, like, just do not fear failure. Failure is it's a good thing. I love it personally, as much as it sounds crazy to say that. It's where I learn the most. Failing's good, and every successful entrepreneur, I bet they've had a ton of failures behind them. But what they've done is taken. Go on, what?
Sorry, just on that. I don't know who says it, but there's a famous saying that I really a failure is a lesson learned.
Absolutely.
But as long as you learn from it, it's not actually a failure; it's a lesson. And
yeah.
So if you fail and you keep failing, you keep doing the same thing, you keep failing, well, then you might be an idiot. But it's a lesson that you can learn from.
Yeah, I mean, I've got these 10 things that I look at every day. I see, and we apply it to the business as well. But they include seeing problems as opportunities. There's an opportunity to solve that problem, so to grasp it. Number 2 is kind of believe in yourself and believe in your business. If you don't, then other people won't. I'm fully convinced about our business because I see the success that our clients have, how much we change their lives and how much we change their business. So I'm fully behind it and confident about it. I believe in that. And I believe in myself because I know that I've got that experience to be able to help people. We just said it, failing is not a bad thing. It's learning. As long as you learn from the mistakes, you've learned something. So feel free to fail. The biggest companies probably failed the most. If you look at the Apples or the Amazons, they have tons of projects that they're working on at any one time. They're not all that successful. There's only one in, say, 100 that is successful, and that's the one we all hear about, but we don't hear about the failures. Think 2 to 3 steps ahead. Think about the long game. Think about the things you're doing today. How's that going to impact you in 6 months? How's that going to impact you in a year? You'll look back, and if you do take action on this, you'll look back and think, oh, that thing I did today, it's paid off in 2025. Now look at the results I'm getting. The other one I've got, number 5, is do the hardest things first. That's a challenging one because you have to get all the other bits of the mindset puzzle together. But I try and do that like first thing in the morning. Even if I do 1 minute on it, that's something. And quite often 1 minute turns into 5 into 15 into half an hour, and so on and so on. Number 6 is think bigger. This self-employed mindset, again, nothing wrong with it. You just fall into it, but think bigger. Think, how would a bigger company approach this? How would a bigger company address this? What would they do? Stop saying, oh, I'm too small to do this or too small to do that, or I'm only a small business. 7, every day you get better, not worse. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do, you always get better. There's something today that you know that you didn't know this time last year. Number 8 is write down your goals. I'm a big believer in that. I think once they're written, and if you write them down 3 times, they get internalized and you can easily recall them and remember them much better, and you can visualize them as well. This one is something new that I was trying, but it was write down your fears. I don't actually have that many, but I wrote them down because I think it's going to be something. It's something new for me to try. So I thought, why not? So that's also on my list, is to, because I think they're easier to fix if you can write them down. It's like, well, how would I fix that? How would I overcome that? And then number 10, this is a big one, and it's about celebrating your success, celebrating your small wins. Look back at how far you've come already. I mean, you've achieved so much in your life already, and you've got so much life in front of you. Just think what you can achieve, knowing everything you know already. Look at the acceleration that, there's like a snowball effect. You're going to achieve so much in the next year. So don't ever be negative on yourself. Think positive. Think like a business owner. Think like a big business. How would they approach things? And just look at what you've achieved so far. Just the fact you've started a business is a massive achievement. So be proud of that. And that's my 10.
Cool. Thank you. Conscious of time, we're going to wrap up. A couple of things before we go. Our competition ends today. If you haven't already entered, you can go to our website and click the competition button, or I will literally pop in the chat a link to the competition now. So it's go.scalingtrade.com/win. If you basically go to this, I'll pop it up on the screen.
What can you win, Steve? What can you win? What can you win?
What can you win? There's over £3,000 worth of prizes. The first prize is for a website professionally designed and hosted for 12 months. We've got some CRM licenses that we're giving away. So they're worth over £600 each. And we're also giving some strategy sessions away. If you want to take action today, though, I would encourage you to do two things. First of all, go and take our scorecard. Go on our website, click the scorecard button and take it. In fact, let me find the link and pop it in here.
It's just the same /business growth.
Yeah. So go and take that scorecard and then message us with you're not going to get an automation. Michael and I will pick it up. Just tell us that you're interested in getting started and just quote mindset so that we know you've watched this video, and we'll give you a half price strategy session. And what's that going to do for you? If you decide to work with us, we'll deduct the price of that strategy session off of working with us.
We'll just give it back, so it's free.
Yeah. So we'll deduct it off. Yeah, we'll just take it off the price of working with us. And that could be if you're taking just our standard CRM, or if you're moving to our Navigator program, which is probably, we've got 3 flavors of that for people that are just getting started and for businesses that want to grow. If you don't, you can take that strategy session and you'll have a plan that you can start to implement yourself. So it will give you value either way, but it is a way of helping you take action and get started today. Because almost every time I hear, I'll do it tomorrow. And if it's not now, my question to you is when? And I say this to everybody I meet.
Normally never. If it's not now, it's never. That's what because it ends up being something that you can lie to yourself and keep kicking it down the road. And I might change the back of the t-shirts we're going to get done that just says, instead of ask me about growing your business, if it's not now, it's always never. Yeah, do it. So 2 things. Definitely do those 2 things. And actually it's 3. Enter the competition. You must do that. Just why not? You're going to win free business growth tools. And especially if you're afraid of technology, this is something that'd be great for you, because we're going to do a lot of the work for you. We're going to put that foundation in place so you're able to grow and scale your business, and have a lot of it automated, which is going to free up your time. So, there's something you're going to benefit in terms of your life as well. The other one is the business growth scorecard. Definitely do that, because it ties into this session. It will make you look at your business in a different way, and look at things that you may have not considered, or things that have fallen by the wayside. But it will also give you steps as to what you need to do next. And the third thing is once you've done that, make sure you contact us, mention Mindset. If you DM us or email us, whichever way you get in contact, just mindset or mention that you've watched this video, and then we can give that offer to you. And as Steve said, everyone who's had that strategy session has come away with a plan. And whether they work with us or not, I mean, 9.2 times out of 10, they do work with us afterwards. That's, they get that money back, but they've got a plan. So you've got absolutely nothing to lose. It's such a good investment of your time, because it gives you a way forward. From us, who we've got combined expertise of 45 years in this game. So I hope you've enjoyed the session. I really enjoyed it. We could go on for ages. I've got so many other points that I didn't get to touch on, but
well, we can cover them again next time. But thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.